So yesterday we witnessed the Jets lose to the New England Patriots 10-3 on a last-second punt return touchdown. But what I want to talk about is the big issue that has become very clear as of recently with this Jets team, and that is the play of Zach Wilson, who led the offense to only two total yards. Two total yards in the second half, threw 9 for 22, 77 yards, easily could have thrown 3 interceptions. Multiple were dropped by the Patriots defense. And I think right now, if you're Robert Saleh, you really have to sit there and really contemplate, do you really want Zach Wilson leading your team? Because right now, the Jets defense is clicking on all cylinders. They're currently the 9th best scoring defense in the NFL. And Zach Wilson, I think right now, is really dragging this team down. So I want to go into what I think the solution is for this Jets team. But if you guys are new to the channel, put out NFL content weekly. So if you want to see more of this, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below and drop a like on the video as well if you enjoy it. So I think yesterday we saw what we've seen from a majority of the season from Zach Wilson, and that is him just not being able to get the job done. I want to take a look at some stats this season and where he ranks, and this is among 33 qualified quarterbacks. So passer rating of 72.6 ranks 32nd in the NFL. Completion percentage of 55.6% ranks 33rd in the NFL. In a touchdown to interception ratio of 4-5 ranks 31st in the NFL. And if we look at yesterday's game, as I said, only 77 yards. He completed 4 of 9 passes to receivers who had at least 3 yards of separation, and there were multiple passes, screen passes, where he overthrows the man sitting right there in the flat. He just overthrows him. Don't know how that happened. Yes, there were some adverse, weather conditions in this game, but Mac Jones was able to perform just fine, 23 of 27 for 246 yards. So I'm not saying the weather didn't affect Wilson, but clearly he still, played a terrible game yesterday. And in that game, if the Jets would have had just average quarterback play, like we're not saying good, we're not saying great, we're not saying elite, we're saying like average quarterback play, the Jets most likely win that game because the defense played an incredible game, holding the Patriots to a total of only 3 points a majority of the game. And there was some interesting things coming out after the game, sort of inside the Jets locker room. It all started when Zach Wilson was asked in a press conference if he thought the offense let the defense down, and Zach Wilson said no. So he doesn't think that the offense let the defense down, when clearly the offense obviously let the defense down. When you only get 2 yards, I don't know how you only get 2 yards in an NFL game in the second half. Like, that's just, just poor play by the offense. Majority of that, I think, falls on the shoulders of Zach Wilson. And so right now, there are some issues, it seems to be, in the Jets locker room. There are just some reports. Who knows if this is completely accurate? Sometimes it's hard to tell, what is true, what is not true, but I'll just leave this here from what has been circulating. Maybe you guys have seen this, but it came out from Connor Hughes of SNY, who said, sources inside the Jets losing locker room told SNY that Wilson was walking around after the game like he isn't the problem. It rubbed more than a few the wrong way, frustrating several others. So Zach Wilson, being a young QB, didn't really take responsibility, and it seems to be causing some issues there in the Jets locker room. And so I think when you look at the Jets, clearly when you spend a second-round pick or it's not a second-round pick, a number 2 overall pick in a draft, you're expecting this guy to come in and to eventually really be the cornerstone, that foundation of your entire organization that hopefully you can rely on for 10 plus years if you're lucky, to potentially be that franchise quarterback that every single team in the NFL hopes to find at some point, in their time. But Zach Wilson, now 2 years into his career, has showed really no improvement. He's been very inaccurate. He has not been consistent whatsoever, and I really think it's time for the Jets to make a move off of Zach Wilson right now. When we look at the options outside of Zach Wilson, of course, we have Mike White and we have Joe Flacco. Personally, I think either right now is a good changeup from Zach Wilson because he just hasn't been getting it done, and I think that when you can provide that sort of spark, when you sort of throw something new in the works, if, like, let's say Mike White or Joe Flacco came in for a game and play really well, it can sort of bring that energy. It sort of reminds me of like Ryan Fitzpatrick in the past when he was playing. When he would come in, get on a winning streak, the team would just sort of heat up, and I feel like the Jets just need to make a change. Personally, I think it's time to move to Joe Flacco. When you have a quarterback who has already had the playoff experience, won a Super Bowl MVP at 37 years old, yes, Joe Flacco isn't the same quarterback he used to be. No one is going to be typically, at that age. Apart from, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. But Joe Flacco definitely isn't the quarterback he used to be. But I think the Jets need just like a veteran presence to be able to lead this team because, as I was saying, the defense is so talented And I think that to have Zach Wilson in there leading right now just isn't the best option. And I think that Joe Flacco could be a solid option. If we look at the 3 games that Joe Flacco played this year, he threw for 309 yards, 307 yards, 285 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So not perfect, but all we need right now for the Jets is, average quarterback play if you want the Jets to be successful. And in the games that he played, Joe Flacco has 5 touchdowns to Zach Wilson in 7 games, only having 4 touchdowns. So I think bring in Joe Flacco. You just need average quarterback play. You're not asking for him to be elite, just average. We have, I'm not a Jets fan, I'm a Packers fan, but the Jets have a good defense, and all you need is some average quarterback play, sort of like the 49ers formula, Great defense, good pieces on offense, Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like Joe Flacco can be that. Maybe can be that Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I think the Jets should do. But one other thing, Robert Saleh was asked after the game if he thought about switching to Mike White. He responded no. He said, it's not about pointing fingers at anyone. It's about finding the answers so we can start moving the ball. Personally, I think that the issue right now is clearly Zach Wilson. He has not lived up to expectations. I'm not saying this means he will never be a good quarterback. I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Anyone can always change. Anyone can improve at any moment. But so far from what we've seen from Zach Wilson, from just how good this defense is playing, it would be sad to see the Jets, playoff chances in a game in the playoffs go down just because Zach Wilson can't throw for, over 100 yards. And we have seen, lots of QBs from year 2 to year 3 make huge jumps. So maybe it's too early to fully go off Zach Wilson, but from the way he's played so far, I think that is definitely time to make a switch for the Jets. Please comment your thoughts down below. I like reading the comments to see, because I know everyone always has different opinions. It's nice to see different ones, so feel free to comment your thoughts down below. And if you would like to see more NFL content, make sure you subscribe, turn on the post notifications. I will be out with another video, probably Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and then more going forward in the future, so stay tuned for that. But that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys next time.